Okay, good afternoon and welcome to today's program, Happy Holidays, a Capital Blue Cross presentation. I'm Nicholas Cunningham, the program manager of LVAIC. We have a great presentation for you led by Gina McDonald from Capital Blue Cross. Gina is a senior health co Gina is a senior health coach at Capital, and today she will share some important information to help us have a healthy holiday season. Before we begin, please be aware that we are recording this session. We ask that you put all questions in the chat throughout the presentation as we will be answering them at the end. We'll pause the recording during the Q&A session at the end to respect everyone's privacy. And now I'm going to turn everything over to Gina.
Thank you, Nick, very much. And before we get started, again, we have the Fast Fact on our screen promoting information about the flu, which we're going to cover today in session today. And our Fast Facts are simply, as movies have trailers, we have Fast Facts, a little something for you to look at before we get started. Well, moving forward, there we go. We got Healthy Holidays brought to you by Capital Blue Cross. Again, I'm Gina McDonald, one of the senior health coaches, and I'll be your facilitator for today. Let's take a look at what's going to happen in session. We have a kind of like a little laundry list of getting ourselves ready for the holidays. I always say about this presentation, I don't know if there's going to be anything groundbreaking, but it's a fantastic way to kind of get all your ducks in a row. Nice little checklist, and maybe some fun facts will be coming in for you. So today we're going to be covering topics around stress, cold and flu, like I shared. Then we're going to get into the food. We have a few slides. We're going to touch on beverages, meals, hors d'oeuvres, parties, all of those things. So those are going to encompass that I call the food slides. After the food slides, then we're going to get into the activity slides. We have a couple of those, one of my favorite subjects to talk about, give you some ideas for the wintertime and to include movement throughout your holiday season. Then we're going to get into that all very important self-care, that finding time for you so easily gets pushed aside when things get busy, but we're going to put a few reminders in there. And then finally, we're going to wrap things up with a little home and holiday safety. It's the last slide, but it's one of my favorites. And that's where I get most of my fun facts from this presentation from. And let's see what happens. So continuing on. The question that's so popular, why is it so difficult to be healthy during the holiday season? Now, if you want to light up that chat box, feel free to do so. But just the holiday proves to be a challenging time for many individuals to engage in those healthy behaviors. Shorter, colder days, and oof, we've been getting hit with some cold ones for sure. Busier schedules. Maybe there's more outings put into your time right now that usually aren't there. That's those social events. And usually with those social events, what's going on? Surrounded by food. So those are just a few common reasons why health gets put to the side. That's something come in there. Yes, we got those big sweet treats. I'm giggling, Nicholas, because my partner came back from a little luncheon and he's like, yeah, I got the first set of cookies. And I'm like, he loves those cookies. But what I love about the cookies, though, this is a little tip right here. You could freeze them. So, and then they're just as good. And I know my partner likes to even put them in the oven to heat them up sometimes. So sometimes it's fun to take a holiday cookie out of there, tin for around the month of May and see how good it tastes then. So a little something to think about right there. Well, moving on, let's hit our first topic for today, and that's about stress. Now, stress has different effects on different people. That's one of the most eye-opening things about stress, because here's the thing, something that's maybe stressful for you, someone else might not even bat an eye on it. So always keep that in the back of your head. But fear, sadness, and anxiety are all normal emotions as long as they're only temporary. So let's get into this more with some of those signs of stress. Now, here are just a few that are listed. This is not an exhaustive list, but check and see if any of these things kind of stand out to you. And that's why it's all important to, of course, have those stress management techniques in your back pocket. So, when I talk about those, let's take a look at this slide right here. So, yes, stress can have both positive and negative consequences. So, let's take a look at some of those bullet points on how we can battle stress through the holiday seasons. First of all, keep a positive outlook. Yes. Think about the things you've accomplished at the end of the day rather than focusing on all the things that need to be done. And that's where a gratitude journal comes into play, where you can have this about 30 seconds on the clock. That's all it takes. And have a little bit of reflection time about, wow, what just happened today? And wow, gratitude that I got through it and what I have accomplished. Get support from your family and friends. Yes, talking about your feelings and sharing your problems can help you reach a solution and lighten the burden of stress. What I've noticed recently is when I share something that is stressful for me, my partner sometimes has a different lens on how to look at it. And what a gift that is. So, just a little bit of a plug there for opening up and maybe finding new opportunities that see the same situation in a different light. Now, prioritize and how to say no. And we'll get back to that healthy habits really shortly. This sometimes is the hardest word for people to say, but lock in those limitations, create those boundaries, and we can feel good and say no when it truly needs to be said. Backing up a little bit with those healthy habits. Yes, get that adequate sleep. We're going to talk about this going through the presentation. Eat a healthy diet and engage in that regular physical activity. A lot of times we forget about that sleep. And unfortunately, sleep can have such a kind of a snowball effect on a lot of those other items I just discussed. So keep that in your back pocket. I'm not just talking quantity, I'm talking quality, and that recommendation is 7 to 9 hours a night. Now, let's go with that try stress management techniques. Well, deep breathing exercises, progressive muscle relaxation, guided imagery, and meditation can all be helpful ways to alleviate stress. Maybe you have a favorite app that you use, especially when we think about that progressive muscle relaxation. Now, I always put it out there. This is not Capital Blue Cross, Gina McDonald. I found an app, and it's way I found it was I searched 100% free guided meditation, and it's known as Medito, Medito, and it has same amount of options as all the other buy up apps do, except a little bit lower on the production value, but otherwise good to go. And they have a slew of meditations for sleep, including progressive muscle relaxation. Coming up shortly, too, we're going to try some breathing together, known as the 4-7-8 breathing. And I've been practicing this because, ooh, that long 8 exhale count, that's sometimes where I want to just get all the air out at once. And I have to kind of teach myself and practice, slow it down, slow it down. Also, recognize when you need help. Seek support from a mental health professional if you feel overwhelmed by stress, especially around the holidays. A lot of times we're all about happy, happy, joy, joy, but sometimes the holidays could bring back reflections of maybe some thoughts that are not so happy, and they could kind of just keep on again using that word snowballing. So again, reach out to that employee assistance program or even through virtual care, we have behavioral health available. So again, see if those benefits are available to you. Speaking of that breathing, if everyone could take a nice, comfortable but alert posture, what we're going to do for the 4-7-8 breathing is we're going to first exhale completely everything out of your mouth. You might even like that whoosh sound. Now close your mouth and we're going to inhale through the nose. If you possibly have some sinus issues right now, please do the breathing that feels best to you. But what we're going to do is for a 4 count. We're going to inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we're going to hold for 7 counts. After that 7, you're going to hear me say release, and that's when we're going to exhale, and we're going to exhale that for an 8 count. Please follow along with me. We're going to do three different cycles, and one complete cycle is when we inhale, hold, exhale. That equals one breath. We're going to go through three. I'm going to do limited cueing on the second and third so you can enjoy whatever breath pattern feels good to you. So again, take that comfortable but alert posture, roll those shoulders back, drop them. Let's open up those lungs. Take a nice inhale for four, three, two, one. Hold. Seven, six, five, four, three, two. Exhale. Eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two. Repeat. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Release. I naturally close my eyes. I naturally close my eyes. I'm going to share that if you want to feel safe and you want to close your eyes. So, whatever feels good to you. I feel that breath technique, though, needs practice. Even just doing it now, it's that long exhale gets me every single time. Again, if you'd like to share how you're feeling and light up that chat box, I really appreciate it. No worries. We're going to keep moving on, but just put that in your back pocket when things feel a little bit out of control to bring some control back into your life. We're getting into cold and flu now. From what I've heard, it's not too much of a rampant flu season yet, but you never know what's going to happen right around the corner. So, we're going to talk about ways to keep yourself healthy from that cold and flu. Well, cold and flu viruses are spread again by respiratory droplets. Let me get this in here. Oh, let me go back a second. There we go. So, when we respiratory droplets, when an infected person coughs or sneezes, now touching your eyes, nose, or mouth after touching a contaminated surface, like a telephone, stair railing, or keyboard, may lead to infection. Cold and flu viruses can live up to 3 hours on your skin. They can also survive up to 3 hours on surfaces. Now, first coming up is going to be those flu symptoms. So when we take a look at those, now again, as much as 20% of the US population gets the flu every year. And as you can see, the peak time we're in it right now is between December and early March. Remember, it takes about 2 weeks for that flu vaccine to kick in. So also get yourself prepared. Now, here are your symptoms here: dry cough, headache, body aches, fever and chills, fatigue. We're going to flip the slide in just a moment, and that's where we're going to find out very similar symptoms with the cold, except the cough is different. And it's going to be those body aches and fever. I know myself, if that comes on, that's the first thing that goes into my head is that that's what's kind of like that differentiator then with the cold. So here we go. Take a look at this one. More than 200 viruses, known as that rhinovirus, cause the common cold. And remember, antibiotics do not prevent or cure a cold. When we think about antibiotics, they are for bacterial infections to cure. So keep that in the back pocket right there, too. That could be a nice little fun fact on why we do not take antibiotics when we have the flu, and the cold. Remember, again, viruses. As you can see, again, sore throat, stuffy and runny nose, more productive cough, and sneezing. So kind of like thinking about also, too, is those symptoms kind of neck up for that. Now, let's talk about prevention. And this is one of my favorite slides. So, again, avoid close contact with others who are sick. Stay home when you are sick to prevent spreading the illness. Cover your nose and mouth with a tissue when coughing or sneezing. Now, here's going to be my little fun fact for you. If you cough and sneeze, you don't have that tissue with you. My mother used to, and my father used to run a daycare out of our house, and they made up a little song for the little kiddos whenever cold and flu season was around. So if you get that kind of sneeze coming in or a cold, give it a right hook and cough and sneeze in the crook of your elbow. So again, have some fun with that, but it's something I always remember. And again, we want to keep our hands away from that cough and sneeze. And kind of if you don't have that tissue available, take it into the crook of your elbow. Also, wash your hands often with soap or warm water for 20 seconds. How do we know it's 20 seconds? We got two songs we could do. We can either sing happy birthday twice or go through the alphabet. Also, too, is we want to get friction. We want to get friction. I was fortunate enough to have a friend who was a microbiologist, and we were washing our hands one time together, and she's like, Gina, it's all about the friction. Lock that in. And I'm telling you, that was 30 some years ago. So when I wash my hands, I'm always getting that friction started. Also, remember nails and remember wrists, top of the hands. Sometimes these things get you. So just a little reminder on that. Through COVID, we found out, wow, we touch our face a lot. So again, a reminder, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth to prevent the spread of germs. What makes those areas so much more susceptible? They're known as mucous membranes, and mucous membranes are passageways into our body. Also, clean and disinfect surfaces or objects that may be contaminated, and practice those healthy behaviors to maintain a strong immune system, like getting that adequate sleep, 7 to 9 hours, quantity and quality. Balanced diet. And we're going to talk about food coming up very shortly. But if you're looking to get even foundational information about nutrition, remember, myplate.gov is a fantastic place to start. Also, engage in that regular physical activity and let's not smoke. Yes, smoking really, really depresses that immune system. So, again, we want to keep that immune system strong. Here we go. We are entering the food discussion for today. So let's start first with beverages. Now, when we think about beverages, calories from beverages frequently contribute to holiday weight gain. Holiday beverages can be high in sugar, fat, and alcohol. So a lot of the fancy coffees that are coming through during the holiday season, just can remember all that whipped cream, added sugar, it all plays a role. And when we think about added sugar, here's a recommendation number for you. Women, we're starting really low, and that's going to be at 24 grams from the American Heart Association. Men starting at 36 grams. Now we can go as high as 50 grams, which is 10% of our total calories for the day by the US government, and that's based on a 2,000 calorie diet. I always say is if you can keep your added sugar between that 24 to 50 daily, it's a challenge, but it's a great one to take on. Now, let's get into alcohol. That's another way we add up those calories. So, as you can see, we have the recommendation for women on the screen right now, and that's going to be 1 drink per day. Right next to the recommendations is going to be what is a standard drink. And as you can see, we have that 12 fluid ounces of regular beer. Now, if you like the microbreweries, if you're going over 7% on your beer, we like to take that down to an 8-ounce serving to equal just one. 5 ounces of wine and 1.5 ounces, which is a shot of our spirits. Now, for men, the recommendation goes up to 2 drinks per day. And unfortunately, alcohol drinks are not like Weight Watchers points where we can't bucket them to the weekend. So, again, that recommendation is daily for one for women and two for men. Now, here are some of those risks where we're talking about with that intake of alcohol. And it's a lot to do about going to parties and biting and then driving. So remember, here are some of the definitely restrictions that can happen to the body with imbibing in alcohol. So again, that decreased concentration, decline in visual function, reduced ability to multitask, lowered alertness, and slower reaction time. Also, drinking more alcohol than what is recommended can be harmful to your health. Keep in mind, also, alcohol contains 7 calories per gram, which quickly adds up and provides no nutritional value. Also, that 7 calories is very close to fat, meaning for 1 gram of fat, we're looking at 9 calories. So sometimes your body gets a little confused and it doesn't realize what it's digesting. So just keep that in. That's another thing to be cautious of when we're consuming alcohol and to keep it to those recommendations. Now, here we go. Let's stick with moderation and let's make sure the label is 100% fruit juice. Or better yet, let's eat our fruit. Why do I say that? Because then we get one of the most beautiful nutrients to enter our body, which is fiber. Yes, fiber is one of the best things that we can put into our body. The recommendation for fiber daily is going to be 25 to 38 grams. And the high end, that's actually for our males who are on the call. So again, make fiber your best friend, and it really can get you through this holiday season. Also, for lower calorie options, mix seltzer water with a splash of 100% juice or infused water with fruit for a kick for flavor. I know myself, I do a cold drink, but I also do a hot drink. And I just keep having hot water through the day. And I recently just started putting ginger powder in there. And wow, delicious. So as we know, ginger helps with digestion, but just really the taste too is very satisfying. So I just wanted to share that's one of the new things I've been doing lately. If you have a way that you've been kind of working your moderation in and getting your hydration at the same time with limited calories, please feel free to light up that chat box. We can all learn from each other. Another kind of trick is instead of sugar flavored syrup, try adding spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, powdered vanilla, or unsweetened cocoa powder to your mix of drink. So just some ideas there, and anything else you would like to shout out, please feel free to do so. We're going to keep moving forward in our food journey, and we're getting to the meals and parties now. So when we think about those meals and parties, sodium, it's number one on the page right here. I'm going to flash you another recommendation for that. Sodium is coming in at our general recommendation of 2,300 milligrams a day. Now, if you are over 50, have high blood pressure, or African American, your recommendation is 1,500. So I always like to say is if we can keep our sodium between 1,500 and 2,300, it's another great recommendation to try to put in our back pocket. And I'm shouting out a lot of recommendations today, but here's the thing is just common knowledge. But, I always like to say is if you have a goal for maybe even 2026, is just pick one to kind of get familiar with on how that is being represented with your dietary intake. Okay, limit your sodium. Did you know that many of your favorite holiday dishes may be packed with sodium? Breads and rolls, poultry, and canned soups are three common foods that can add sodium to your diet. Now we can savor that flavor again with herbs and spices like rosemary and cloves to flavor dishes instead of salt and butter. I know myself, huge garlic fan. Oh my goodness, I think if they took garlic off the planet, I would be very confused in life. So just have fun with those herbs and spices. I know a lot of people say to me, "Gee, I just don't know where to put it or what to put it in." And that's the beautiful thing about you can experiment and see what works for you best. Also, the whole thing about canned products. Let's rinse away that sodium. Yes, if you drain and rinse, say, your canned vegetables or canned beans, you can get up to 40% of the sodium off of that product. So, really nice to do. Now, dressing, otherwise known as stuffing. Yes, let's call it what it is. It's not an entree. If we can keep it to an accompaniment, that is wonderful. Also, Judge it by its cover, meaning that if you're seeing a lot of fatty meats in there, maybe white breads, then if we can kind of think about lessening the serving size or possibly even suggesting maybe making it yourself of adding those whole grains in there instead, and even thinking of dried fruit and nuts instead of those other higher calorie, high fat options. Now, turkey, if you're having turkey for the holiday season, you can outsmart that bird by choosing the white meat against the dark meat, just a little lesser calories and a little less fat that's going to be there. When we think about the portion size, you can use your hand to kind of guesstimate a little bit. It's not going to be perfect, but your hand for women, this is about 4 ounces. For men, we're looking at about six, and 3 to 4 ounces is a usual serving. So I like to hover my hand around my food, even when I'm out to eat, and I get some protein just to kind of see how much the serving size maybe is, or if I'm consuming more than that 3 ounces. I kind of like to know too. Also, gravy. A lot of times, more fat and calories being added on to your food if you can keep it to the items you want it on instead of making a little kind of, I was going to say, a pond of gravy with all your other food just kind of floating in it. That could be a great way to, again, reduce that amount of sodium, fat, and calories from your overall meal. Now, here we go with be strategic with those appetizers and snacks. Let's skip the extras, make sure everyone has an appetite for the meal by skipping appetizers or serving lighter snacks like cut up fruits and veggies. I have this big joke with my partner about appetizers. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I don't need any food before my other food. So we always joke about that one. But sometimes people like a little starter before their meal. If we can make it fibrous, like those vegetables, salad, or hydration, a broth-based soup, that can work well too. And those added sugars. Again, we had a conversation about the added sugars when we were talking about our drinks. So again, when we think about those added sugars, try bite-sized or half portions of desserts. I love when people share because then we can all get a taste, but we don't need the whole dessert. I always like to mention about the 3 bite rule. This is based of the from the law of diminishing satisfaction, meaning nothing's going to taste as good as that first bite. Second, pretty good. Third, not getting any better. So for those very indulgent items, especially around the holiday season, think of that 3 bite rule. And then restriction kind of gets thrown out the door, but you still can keep to your regular eating pattern and feel good. Also, again, sip smart instead of soda or sweet tea, which can add a lot of that added sugar. 20-ounce soda over 60 grams. Tea itself is around the 30 to 40 gram mark. So again, those processed drink beverages can really load up into and really cut into that recommendation of 24 to 50 grams each day. Also too is when we think about lightening up, reduce the amount of sugar used in sides like sweet potato casserole or cranberry sauce. I love that they pick out those two because I'm the person who sits there when somebody is like melting marshmallows on top of sweet potatoes, like, I'm drowning. That's why I feel like the sweet potato is trying to shout out. But we can just really indulge in the natural sweetness of these foods. It can be even better. And the whole cranberry sauce. Yes, I love looking at labels. I've been working in wellness for 21 years. Just last year, I looked at the back of one of those canned cranberry sauce products and I was literally stupefied. One slice of that wiggly jelly product was 22 grams of added sugar. And I was like, my head was going all different places. Then my partner had bought craisins. And if anyone knows, craisins are basically candy. They were even worse. A serving of craisins was about, I think it was 24 grams of added sugar, which is the start of the daily recommendation for women. He had us like a sprinkling over something. I literally threw it out of the house. I was like, I don't want to give it to any children. So just beware because so many people think craisins are like raisins, dried cranberries. but unfortunately, they're soaked in sugar. So I just want to put that out there. All right, Charlene, can you easily make your own low sugar craisins in the oven? Wonderful. Thank you very much for that recommendation. Because, whoo, I
You
tell you,
get
I was
just a
flabbergasted.
little bit of maple syrup. I had a recipe where it's just like a real little bit of like either like syrup or coconut oil or whatever, and you bake
Yeah,
them and they're better than and then lots less sugar.
absolutely. I don't think people understand that cranberries are very bitter. So that's why if we are eating just dried cranberries like raisins, but maybe you have a palate for that. That's great. But again, just please be cautious and look at the label when we're thinking about those craisins. Charlene, thank you very much for that. All right, here we go. We're almost through our party talk. Let's stay focused with those hors d'oeuvres. Get involved. If it's a potluck, bring something that's quote unquote healthy that you believe would be good for you. Then you can share it with others, but know that there's something that you'll enjoy also at the party. Now, come prepared. When I say that is, what do a lot of people do when they know they have a party later in the day or at night? They usually don't eat and they save all their calories for the party and then go bonsai. So, again, let's keep our body as regular as we can during the holiday season. And if we know we're going to have a party at night, possibly have a high fiber lunch that can help us feel more satisfied as we enter that party at night. So then we could use the 3 bite rule and only indulge on those items that we don't want to restrict ourselves from. Same thing. If you have a luncheon, think of that high fiber breakfast. Get those vegetables in there and have some fun. I had somebody who was like, I don't know where to put vegetables for breakfast. I'm like, oh, spinach and eggs, delicious. So again, I could throw spinach in anything. So very much tasty. So again, find out what works for you. And again, with those desserts, think about that 3 bite rule or again, sharing that buddy system works out just great. Now we're going to get into making some small changes. Now, if you're going to make some small changes for yourself, what could they possibly be? Now, just a few that I have. Instead of butter, use a healthier vegetable oil like or margarine and substitute equal parts of unsweetened applesauce when baking, lower calorie sugar substitute, low fat or non-fat milk instead of whole milk or heavy cream. Even your nut milk's working great there. Think about that almond milk, very low calorie, but heavy hitter on the calcium, which is fantastic. We talked about using extracts like vanilla or even peppermint to add more flavor instead of those syrups. And think of those whole grains instead of those refined white flour carbohydrates that we usually use. Anybody else has anything? Again, please light up that chat box. Maybe there's something special you do around the holiday season that you get a little sneaky with your wellness for everybody. You like to put that in there. All right, as we talk about food, we have all that fuel. Let's talk about movement. Now, again, move more. Go for a walk or run instead of heading for the couch after the big meal. Bundle up and head outdoors for some fresh air. That's exactly what I did around for Thanksgiving. We finished up cleaning up, and I looked at my friend who was able to join us. I said, "Hey, want to go for a little stroll?" We got a nice little 20-minute walk in around the block. It was fun. Also, Play to Win, start a new tradition of an annual family game of touch football or basketball or mini golf, whatever feels good to you. Also, make it move. Let's add movements or gestures to games. Or just bring back charades and have some fun with that. Play in the snow? Well, we've been having some snow. I don't know how the Lehigh Valley's been looking, but I've been out shoveling multiple times this year already. So I will say we had a brief snow on Monday that the leaf blower was able to clear a path. I was like, my favorite kind of snow. Really light that the leaf blower can do its job. Also, break up that binge watching. Hey, I know myself, I have a lot of streaming networks, but I choose the ads, and I do that for the cheaper cost, but also you have a little timer. We could get up and move with those timers. So if you're settling in with a Netflix show and you see that little break come out, get up and move and have some fun doing that. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to an app known as the 7 Minute Workout. And that's all body weight, 12 exercises, 30 seconds each. And you don't have to do the whole app, but just kind of put it out there for little ideas of interesting items you can add to your holiday fare. Now, physical activity reduces that stress. We started with stress, and yes, this is a big one to help us reduce it. Remember, the recommendations are 150 minutes of moderate physical activity per week. How do we know it's moderate? Possibly some sweat, talking becoming a little difficult, heart rate rising. That's when we're getting into that moderate area. Now, any type of movement is great, but when we talk about that 150 minutes, we want to make sure it's a dedicated movement. We're putting some effort behind it. As you can see, we have another form of list to keep you active during the holiday season that's here on the slide. I want to give a big shout out, though, to that last kind of dash mark with the engage in resistance training, especially to my women on the call. I will never take a moment not to talk about strength training because women, we have to go through something men don't, and that's known as menopause. It's the biggest fight we can give. We're perimenopause and also postmenopause is going to be as much lean body mass as we can. So think about what strength training means to you. If you're looking for an opportunity, again, we mentioned that 7 minute workout, but also know that weights, get a pair of weights, keep them handy. That's when we're talking about those little timing breaks. Get up and work some of those muscles. So again, think about if maybe they're on your holiday list. I always give out the suggestion, Five Below, they have weights up until 10 pounds with under, I believe they are under $5. So very cost effective, but if you're looking to build some more resistance training into your life. Now, here is going to be about that self-care, finding time for you. And here's some ideas for you to think about. Keep up those healthy habits. Make a commitment to yourself before the holiday season begins. If you don't completely give up your healthy habits, you won't feel like you have to start over once the holidays are in the rear view. You know, we kind of push ourselves aside, and I know a lot of people remember right at the beginning of the presentation, we talked about that two-letter word no and how hard it is for some people to say. So some people take a lot of pride too in being very busy and scheduled. So here's the thing though, that's great if it works for you, but where are you in that schedule? And that's why I want just to make sure that some people have to schedule themselves. And I think it's beautiful that they actually do that and keep to it. How many times will we say to ourselves, I don't think I'm going to go to that meeting today? But we do it with our workouts. We do it with thinking about healthy choices for nutrition. So again, don't keep putting yourself second, third, fourth. A number one. Why do I say that? Because if you are not the best you, how are you supposed to be that you for all those other people who count on you? So just keep that in the back pocket. Fit in fitness, as we just talked about that, try not to skip your workouts, but when a full social calendar gets in the way, sprinkle in some healthy activity like walking into your daily routine or make your life into a workout. What does that mean? You see a flight of stairs? Maybe I'm going to do them twice before I actually get to the location I'm going to. Those are the things to think about is just, hey, where can I add as much movement? That whole theory. Move more, sit less. Move more, sit less. Give yourself the gift of peace. When the invitations pile up, don't be afraid to say no to some of them. Again, limitations, boundaries. If you need some downtime to recharge for the next party, take a break. Do something that relaxes you. Also, aim for that 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night to stay in that healthy zone. Very much promoting about the sleep. As I said, it affects nutrition choices because unfortunately, it has some hormonal play in our body when we are sleep deprived, which makes us very much crave kind of high calorie, high sugar, high fat items. And then our satisfaction hormone gets depressed. Plus, how many great decisions are we making when we're sleep deprived? So put that all together, woof, it's very challenging. So always think about that too, is when you have certain cravings, think, how was my sleep the night before. Also, your wake up times, are they the same during the holiday season or do they change? So think about keeping the same bedtime and getting up at the same time. And I know it's challenging, but even on weekends. Here we go. It's one of my favorite slides about home and holiday safety. Here we go. This is going to be a big one. And here is very, very important. So, again, let's start at the top. Prevent fire hazards. Most residential fires occur during the winter. Have your heating systems professionally serviced and chimneys and fireplaces inspected and cleaned. Avoid leaving candles, space heaters, fireplaces unattended or near flammable materials, and keep them at least 3 feet away from furniture and drapes. That three, I think it's maybe three. I'm very much a person of threes, but that 3 feet has always stayed in my head from giving this presentation. So, again, prevent those fires. Decorate safely. If you decorate with a live tree, choose from one with fresh green needles and cut 2 inches from the base of the trunk before placing it in the stand. Add water to the stand daily. Now, ensure holiday lights have a label of an independent testing laboratory and read the manufacturer's instructions for the number of strands that can be connected. I have not heard that song in so long, but all I can remember is that one song where they're talking about the trials and tribulations of the holidays. And he's like, the lights are out, the lights are out. And that's what I keep thinking that he didn't read about how many strands that you need to connect. So let's keep ourselves safe. Now, if cords are broken or have bulb connections that are not good or loose, please get another string. Do not keep reusing that same string of lights. This, I don't think this needs to be said, but I'm putting it out there anyway. Never use lit candles to decorate your tree. I don't know if this was something in the past, but scary, very scary. And make sure, again, it's what? Place 3 feet away from any heat source. Let's get into smoke alarms. 3 out of every 5 deaths related to home fires are in properties without functioning smoke detector alarms. So install smoke detectors on every floor of your home and near all bedrooms. Some alarms communicate with each other. So if one alarm detects smoke, then they're all going to sound. That's smart sense. Also, test batteries monthly and replace at least annually. Install carbon monoxide detectors. Carbon monoxide is odorless, colorless gas that can cause poisoning, resulting in headaches, nausea, disorientation, chest pain, and even death. So install a carbon monoxide detector and check and change the batteries at least twice a year. If the alarm sounds, leave the home immediately and call 911. Prevent carbon monoxide poisoning outdoors. Now, to protect yourself and family members from carbon monoxide poisoning, keep grills and camp stoves out of the house, basement, and garage. I'm thinking about the garage. Someone's like, we're just going to open up the garage. Possibly say, don't take the chance. Do not take the chance. Remember, it's colorless, it's odorless. You don't know. Also, electric generators should be used outside the home and garage and at least 20 feet from the house. Keep the generator away from the air intake of your home and ensure it's dry before using. Also, big one, prepare for power outages. Winter storms can cause power outages. Be prepared by storing food that does not require cooking or refrigeration in clean containers or for weather-related emergencies. Maintain a supply of water that can be used for drinking and washing. Rule of thumb, 1 gallon of water per person per day of the outage. And don't forget about pets. They count. They count just like another person. Also keep a portable cell phone charger on hand and make necessary calls and get information to make necessary calls and get information. Huge one right there. I know we had a power outage. Ooh, this is going back about probably a couple months ago, and it was quick, meaning it was only a couple hours. but I was thinking it's going to be gone a week. That's like, let's get focused and let's get prepared. So keep that in mind. Again, that little fun fact, 1 gallon of water per person per day, FYI. Great little quote for everyone right here. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. And that is coming to you from Helen Keller. Great way to end our presentation for today. And just moving forward, think to yourself, well, what are you taking away from this presentation today? I always like to think of that question as, what are those fun facts? Was it the 3 feet? Don't use lit candles on a live tree. Keep that tree 3 feet from a flammable source. Or how about all of those recommendations we got today for added sugar, 24 to 50, sodium, 1500 to 2300, fiber, 25 to 38 grams a day. You got your list. You got your list. A lot of fun facts going out today. But then, what's that action step? What's that one thing you're going to take forward, move forward with? So you got your facts. What are your actions? What are your actions there? We got something coming in. I was gonna say Charlene's still coming up on the craisins. I like the 3 bite diminish sugar. Yes, you go. We go, Charlene again with that. You got it with that 3 bites. Fantastic. Charlene. I learned something about the craisins. I'm looking forward to this because I think I'm gonna light that up for next year. I'm telling you that. Do. We got some. Get my much needed sleep. Go, Catherine. I see you down there. Fantastic. Yeah, I've been shouting out that was one recommendation, Catherine. I didn't repeat again, but I think I shouted it out enough during the presentation. We were looking at that 7 to 9 hours. Thank you, everyone. People started putting things in the chat for that, and I love it. I love it. I don't have any crickets. People are like, these are my action steps. This is what I'm taking away. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Just a few resources, and then we're going to wrap things up. Again, capitalbluecross.com. That's your secure member account. Please get in there, create that. That's your gateway tool for all those wellness options. Also, then Blue 365. I'm shouting this out. A lot of times, Blue 365, people know it for Fitness Your Way. Here's the thing, rental cars. I'm not talking about $10. I'm not talking about $20. I'm talking about over $200 savings. And I was able to book it through Blue 365 and put it in my friend's name who usually gets the car. So she's going to pay at the counter, but we got the discount. FYI, get in there, create that account through Blue 365 and start your savings. But that's the biggest one I'm shouting out right now. I was blown away by that. My Care Finder, doctors, specialists, treatment guides, treatment timelines, treatment cost estimates. It's right there for you in, again, My Care Finder. Look under Find a Doctor. Capital Blue Cross Virtual Care, if it's available to you, and care management. Sometimes you need a team for complex medical needs, even chronic conditions like coronary artery disease, congestive heart failure, diabetes, and asthma. Have a partner to support you through that journey. One more slide of resources, Capital Blue Cross Connect Health and Wellness Centers. You have one and two in the Lehigh Valley, one at the Promenade Shops in the Stockton Valley, and at our Allentown location by appointment only. Health coaching, biometrics, so much. I call them wellness wonderlands. I love it. Omada Diabetes Prevention, looking for a weight loss program, thinking about 2026, and a scale that so many people say is awesome. That's Omada Diabetes Prevention. Now, if you're in the audience and you're type 1 or type 2 diabetic, then we have Omada Diabetes Management, free support and supplies. And also, again, you have that support. Berta, type 2 diabetes reversal. Any more information about these programs, check out capbluecross.com/diabetes. Finally, Ovia Health, where it's our women's health and family support tools, ranging from fertility to pregnancy to parenting to menopause, all for you in one app. So check that out, or two apps. It's going to be one pretty soon, but it's all available for you. additional resources that are available for you to check out if you'd like, and our disclaimers. So I'm going to give a big old thank you for participating in Healthy Holidays brought to you by Capital Blue Cross. And Nick, sending it right back over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gina. Um, I would like to thank Capital Blue Cross, Gina specifically, for such an informative presentation. I know I also learned some things, the 3 bites. So I will now I will now stop the recording and we'll get to our Q&A section.